Hey guys, today I want to talk about Knack. I'm talking about Knack because it's actually not a bad game. And I swear to God, I even before Donkey, Knack was just a joke to me. And it's another PlayStation exclusive. And it's very cheesy, don't get me wrong. And it's one of those like launch game things. But when I actually sat down to play it, it's made really, really well. And what it turns out it is that the main director was a Westerner. So it has this almost Pixar Disney-esque vibe, similar to like Big Hero 6 or The Incredibles or something in terms of story, characters, and plot. But the gameplay and the level design is Japanese, and it is smooth. Like, really smooth, like stupidly smooth. The basic premise of Knack is that there are goblins in the forest and we must defeat them. That's it. It's very black and white. And Knack is this ancient relic that they turn into a super weapon. And he's a little guy, and I'm pretty sure I played the whole game and I can't even remember, but he's a little guy. He can't say anything. It's only when he gets bigger, he actually gets a voice. And Knack as a character is something I would never expect in a million years looking at this character. I thought he's like, oh, I'm a cute little guy, but I'm a big guy. I'm here to help. He's like cool. He's like, yeah, I guess I can help you for the right price. I'm just like, Knack. This is Knack. But let's cut straight to the point. Okay. The gameplay. It's smooth. You basically have a 3-hit combo. It's very, very simple, but it's very smooth. You can shift between targets. It has this thing where you get this yellow energy and you power up, and then you can use this giant, a series of super moves, which is from like a hurricane to a projectile to a bunch of different things. But the movement, Knack's movement, the platforming, and the combat is way smoother than it deserves to be, to the point where I bought this as a joke gift for a friend, and we installed it and we ended up playing it. So yeah, Knack is actually back. He's actually good. I have no desire to play any Knack game besides this one. I know there's Knack 2 and perhaps a possible Knack 3 in the future. The story itself is very cheesy, very kind of, oh, they're here, now they're over here. Here's the guy who is obviously going to betray you. It's just a matter of when. The one thing that I do have to say, though, about Knack as a structure of a game overall is that it went on much longer than I thought it would be. Like, I thought it should have ended a couple hours, 3 hours beforehand, where, the villain reveals his hand and he's like, I'm the bad guy now. It's like, okay. And then he gets away, and then we regroup, and then he gets away again. And it keeps going. And just like, okay, when is this going to finally wrap up? And it's like, is the big bad going to be the relics? And I'll admit, there are some very cool sections in this game where it's really pushing what can we do with the PS4 hardware. And they have this thing where Knack will constantly keep he'll find these caches of relics, and it'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I thought, okay, this is really cool. We can get really big. But then they like push it where something that they might have done in the sequel. They have this thing where you get a massive cache, and there's a whole level where it's like a Godzilla level where you are just running around, smashing entire bridges, throwing tanks. It's on a massive scale that's actually kind of impressive and fun, frankly, to play. Of course, there's collectibles, which are like, okay. You have, I think there's a stealth section, or there's sections of the game, 3 sections where you have ice, wood / fire, and some kind of crystal or energy or something, or electricity. So you get elemental things temporarily for certain sections of levels where you have to use it to either melt something or burn away an obstacle, and also does extra damage to the enemies. So it's not something you can control, but it's like an extra temporary buff that is relevant to that one level. But again, I remember the levels, they just keep going on and on and on. It's like way more. I think there's like, I don't want to say how many levels there are, but there's way more than there needs to be. And to the point where I was not having a lot of fun playing it by the end of it. But they do this thing where the last enemy, when you hit him, he does a slow motion thing and he gets hit and he falls back. Another cool thing too is, I forget exactly how it works, but I think when you're at full health and you get a pickup, it increases your damage output. And that is such a smart thing to do. I might be getting that wrong. I might be confusing with something else, but I can't tell you how many games I've played where I have max health and I get a health item and I'm like, seriously, am I supposed to get hurt so I can use this? It makes so much sense from a game perspective to, reward the player for being at full health. You should reward you by giving you a little power boost or some extra thing or something. I think it gave you like extra yellow power. I can't remember. The other cool thing that felt really surprisingly good and makes sense as a game mechanic is to use the right stick to not control the camera because it's all fixed, but to dodge. Dodging with the right stick feels really good and intuitive. And in fact, in games like Nier Automata or really any Platinum game, let's be frank, you're pressing forward towards an enemy with the left movement stick whenever you want to do a counterattack, which is also very intuitive. But in Knack, it actually feels really good to dodge with the right stick. It makes sense. There's a lot of things Knack does that are actually like make a lot of sense and actually feel really, really good. Again, the freaking Knack of all things shouldn't be as good as it is, but it is for some reason. And I'm having a sense of crisis about this, as you may be able to tell. It shouldn't be this good, but it is. But yeah. Again, it goes on for a little bit too long. They introduce some new mechanics at the end. There's some laser beams and stuff. But mostly you're just doing 3-hit combos for a long, long time. And the story, the animations for the characters are pretty good. The dialogue is all right. The pacing is very fast, which is great. You just retread old ground a lot, but there's a certain stealth section where you have to shrink down to little Knack platforming. I'm not sure what at the end to say of all this, because at one hand, I don't want to recommend that you play Knack or beat Knack. I mean, I want to recommend you at least try it. Like you try the demo or something just to see what the game is actually about, because it's not actually bad at all. I can't say it's a bad game. I can't even say it's stereotypical, because it does a lot of new interesting things on the fly. The one thing I can say about Knack is that it's interesting enough and well made enough for me to want to beat all of it. Besides from that, I'm not sure what else to say on this, except it's actually worth checking out. And Knack is worth it, I guess.